Hello learners, I am Parikshit and welcome to a very exciting session on Unacademy CAT-alyst. In today's session, we are going to discuss a very important technique, right? Techniques that you need to know while attempting the LRDI section of your mock papers. Remember, it's the month of June. In fact, June is ending and it's the time when a lot of aspirants start giving the mocks. So a lot of things you need to know how to attempt the mocks, what are the strategies that you need to know, lot of do's, lot of don'ts, and how to analyze the mock papers, right? And what is a good score in the mocks. That's what we are going to discuss in today's very important LRDI mock strategy session. Let's get started. But before that, just give me a moment to ensure that I'm streaming live, okay? One moment. Perfect. I think we are streaming live and we are good to start. Okay, this is me, your educator on the platform with the highest live class rating thanks to my learners. A lot of batches starting on Unacademy in the next few days. An accelerator batch, a master weekday batch, and then an exclusive LRDI batch. Now, if you wish to subscribe to any of these batches, remember you got to buy either the Unacademy Plus plan or the Unacademy Iconic plan. And when doing so, remember to use the code Parikshit Live, which is there on your screen. You can get maximum discount. Also, if you use the code Parikshit Live, which is there on your screen, you will get free mentorship. I repeat, the only code available where free mentorship is there from my side. And mentorship is all about going beyond the class hours to help you with any doubts, any strategies, any mock preparation, and all of it. Let's get started. Okay. So, as I was mentioning at the start, today's class is going to be about LRDI strategy, right? LRDI mock strategy for your CAT. Now, first things first. I have told in my previous videos also, and I'm going to quickly repeat. Is this the right time for you to start your mocks? The answer is very simple. Depends on your preparation level. If you have completed at least 60% of your syllabus, it's the right time. If you have not completed but you have just started your preparation, then you got to hold off for another 1 month and then start probably another 1 month or 2 months down the line. But if you have completed minimum 60% of your syllabus, please start the mocks. Okay? First thing. How many questions will be there in LRDI section in CAT 2021? How many questions in CAT 2021 from the LRDI section? Now remember, we don't have an answer to this. There are only possibilities, and I would say there are two possibilities. First possibility is it could be a 1 hour section, 1 hour LRDI section. In that case, you can get 32 questions. Fine. Or the other possibility is there are around 25 questions. Two possibilities for you depending on the duration of the section. If it is a 1 hour section, 32 questions. If it is around a 40 minutes paper like the last year, it will be around 25 questions. Now in either case, do not bother about the number of questions, but what is your target? Your target is more or less the same. Your target should be to get 50% of the questions, approximately 50% of the questions correct. So this target is same, right? Irrespective of the number of questions. So if there are 25 questions, around 12 correct. If there are 32 questions, around 15, 16 correct. So the target is same, 50% of the questions you got to get it correct if you are aiming for a 99 plus percentile in the CAT, right? So you know what is your target. You know, is this the right time for you to start your preparation? Now let's talk about the mocks. Let's talk about the mock strategies. So the target is known to you. Now how to achieve the target is the next part of your discussion, right? Fine. Okay. Now first thing in LRDI, which is most important, I would say, the most important point to remember, okay, while attempting the mocks is the selection of sets. Trust me, 70% of the job, okay, how much you score depends on which sets you decide to attempt. Remember, no aspirant can attempt all the sets and get all of them correct, right? So the selection of sets is very, very, very important. Now in LRDI, how do you choose the sets? That's the first question that should come to your mind. The answer is very simple. You know what? By default, when your screen appears, you know what? Your screen will be like this. This will be your screen, okay? And on the screen, on the top right side of your screen, you will see question numbers like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then you will have 5, 6, dot, 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 up till let's say 32. Up till let's say 32. Fine. By default, your screen will land on question number 1. Question number 1. And there on the top, you will say direction for question, let's say 1 to 4. Direction for question 1 to 4. Question 1 to question 4. That would mean question 1 to 4 belongs to set 1. It is set 1, and set 1 comprises of 4 questions, question 1 to question 4. You have a glance at the set. Don't read the set, but have a glance at the set. At least find out the topic from which this set has come. Probably, let's say, Venn diagram, or let's say blood relations, or let's say cubes, okay? But just have a look, find out from which topic has it come, okay? Moment you are able to identify the topic, don't read the entire set, just identify the topic. Moment you identify the topic, click on question number 5. Immediately with your mouse, click on question number 5. So what you are happening? You are immediately looking at set 2, set 1. So set 1, you know which topic has it come from. Similarly, you will look at, you click on question number 5, you will look at set number 2. Similarly, you click on question number 9, you will look at set number 3. In this way, I would say, look at all the sets. Look at all the sets. How much time would you say take? Remember, you are not reading the set. You are just trying to gauge how difficult is the set, which topic is it, just having a glance. And probably in 60 to 90 seconds, you would have done, okay, looking at all the sets. You would have done looking at all the sets, set 1 to set 8. And at the end of 1.5 minutes, you know which topics are there in the question paper. Fine. Now you know then which sets you need to select. First of all, now first thing first, in this 90 seconds, right, at least decide 2 sets. You have looked at set number 1 to set number 8, and you got to decide minimum 2 sets which you want to attempt and in which order. Probably you want to attempt set number 3 and set number 8. You want to attempt set number 3 and set number 8 at the start, at the very start. Please go ahead and make the choice, right? Set 3 and set 8. That are your 2 starting sets. Now, why do I say so that the starting 1 or 2 sets are the most important part of your LRDI examination? Think about it. It's like a cricket match. If you lose your wickets really early, okay, it will be very difficult to make a comeback. And often you get disheartened, and especially students will get demotivated. So it is very important that the initial 2 sets you choose are the correct ones and you are able to solve them. And I'm going to talk further about how to select these 2 sets. Don't bother about it. But at this point of time, I think one thing is very clear to me. If it is a 60-minute section, okay, the first 10, 15 or first 20 minutes, okay, first 20 minutes, I will say first 20 minutes, you know which are the 2 sets you are going to attempt. Let's say this is set number 3 and set number 8 Okay, this is fixed for you. And I'm going to talk more about how you selected the sets. Don't bother about this at this point of time. You know what? I divide the LRDI mock paper into 3 parts. The first 20 minutes are fixed for you. The first 20 minutes now you have selected. The last 10 minutes of your paper is also known, and I will tell you why. Last 10 minutes. This also should be known to you what you are going to do in the last 10 minutes. The reason is very simple. Talk about the last 10 minutes. You know what? Many a times, once the clock enters the 52nd minute or the 53rd minute, and you see that the timer is remaining only 5 minutes or more, or 4 minutes remaining, or 7 minutes remaining, many a times, aspirants often get nervous. And because you get nervous, you see the timer ticking away, your brain will not be at maximum efficiency. It will not be at maximum efficiency. So in the last 10 minutes, I always suggest take up calculation-based questions. Calculation-based case list. Why? In the last 10 minutes, if there is a case there where there is a lot of calculations involved, Probably there was something which you did not take up in the first 20 minutes because of calculations, right? And you thought that it will take time. Last 10 minutes, this is the time to come back and do this calculation intensive caseless. Why? Because moment you are doing calculation based cases, right, your brain is not at its maximum efficiency. It doesn't matter. Why? Because it is a mechanical work. You would also have a calculator there. You just need to press the buttons and nothing will happen. You will get the right answers here. But let's say last 10 minutes you pick up a games and tournaments caselet. Most of you, if you know what's a games and tournaments caselet, must have realized by now that games and tournaments based questions are difficult. If you pick up a games and tournaments based question the last 10 minutes, chances are you will not be able to solve it completely, right? So do not pick up something which is very difficult in the last 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes, your brain will not be at its maximum efficiency. Hence, pick up sets which are mechanical, which are calculation intensive, does not involve too much of your brain, right? So first 20 minutes and last 30 minutes are done. What you only need to now focus will be the mid 30 minutes. I think up till now I am clear on what I want from you when you gonna write the box, right? So this 30 minutes is important and we are gonna discuss more about these 30 minutes. Fine. So the entire paper I have divided into 3 sections. Fine. I'll come back to this 30 minutes. But you know what? Let's start again. I told you start with set 3 and set number 8. I told you that at the end of 60 to 90 seconds, you pick up 2 sets, okay? 2 sets. Could be any 2 sets, okay? As per your choice, you decide that I'm going to do these 2 sets. Now, how do you come to this decision? How did you decide? How to decide on this, okay? Which 2 sets should you start with? Which 2 sets should you start at the very initial, right? That's what I'm going to talk next. How do you choose the first 2 sets? Okay. Now this I would say is not a very easy thing to decide. It's not a very easy thing to decide which 2 sets would I attempt at the beginning. But still I will give you some clues. On the selection of sets at start. Okay, selection of sets, the first two sets, okay. Now what you need to do is, there are certain factors which you need to keep in mind, as an example. First point would be familiarity. Is it like a set which you have solved in the class? Probably if you get a case like linear arrangement, this is something probably most of you have solved, right? So if this is a linear arrangement case that you think you know about it, please, this can be at your start, right? But more than linear arrangement or more than LR based puzzles, what I would say is the initial 2 sets or 1 or 2 sets should be a DI caselet. I always believe students get DI caselets correct. Why? The reason is very simple. If you happen to get, let's say, a bar diagram, okay, or probably a line graph, right? And they will ask you to calculate some percentage change as an example, or they ask you to calculate the total revenue. DI caselets are way easy than your LR caselets. So one way which you can definitely start your LRDI section in the mocks is to attempt the DI caselets at the initial. Remember, 30 to 30% of your paper will be DI. And I would suggest start with DI because 90% of the students who prepare for the CAT say that DI is easier than the LR. Because you get a line graph, you get a bar chart, probably you are getting a Venn diagram. Can you do this? Definitely yes, because you have done a lot of preparation on it. So definitely try to start with the DI caselet. If there are 2 DI caselets, please go ahead and start with the DI caselet, okay? And the other reason why I say start with DI, is very simple. Within 2 to 3 minutes, you know what? Let's say you don't understand a DI set. Within 2 to 3 minutes, you know that you can't solve this. We can't solve. There can be a worst case scenario. You know that you can't solve. Think about it. Think about what I'm saying. On the contrary, if you are given a LR puzzle with circular arrangement and there are 10 people around the circle, unless you actually try this set all by yourself, try this set, probably it will take 6, 7, 8 minutes, and at the end of 6 minutes, you realize you can't solve this set. It might happen, because unless you actually start working on your puzzle, you don't know whether you will get an answer for this or not. But for DI, that's not the case. You look at the case set, either you understand or you don't understand, 2, 3, max to max 4 minutes it will take. Two things can happen. You are able to solve, go ahead and solve it. You are not able to solve, move to the next. But at the end, what you have done is you have made a quick decision to eliminate that set, that I will no longer be able to solve this set. So familiarity is point number 1, and within familiarity, I will say please start with DI based case list in your mocks. Okay, first thing. Second thing, how do you decide which set to select in your mocks? Okay, second. First is obviously familiarity. Second would be constraints. Point number 2 would be length. Length of the set versus constraint. Length or constraints. Think about it. What do I mean of the length of the set or constraints? If there is one caselet, okay, if there is one caselet, but there are 10 points, you know what? There are 10 points. Point number 1, point number 2, dot, 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 10 points. This case is likely to be difficult. It has a lot of data, lot of information, and to capture all that information probably can take a bit of time, On the contrary, if you happen to get a caselet, you know where there are only 3 points, okay, point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. You know what? There is less information to capture. And many of you, by default, because we are used to solving one-liner, two-liners, three-liner questions, you will see that you get this correct. Because there are just 3 clues, right? You will see you get this correct because there is less information to capture. So the information to capture is less. Please prefer such a set compared to a set which has got a lot of information. And remember, on the computer, it is very difficult many a times to use the vertical scroll bar. Remember, you need to scroll up and down with your mouse. And that itself consumes a lot of time. Not very easy, especially under an examination pressure. So please make sure that length or constraints should be the second point that helps you to decide which DI caselet should you attempt. Okay, that's point number 2. Point number 3. Point number 3 is, what is point number 3? Point number 3 is look for, let me write down, extra info. Extra info in how many sub questions? How many questions? Think about it. How many questions? Okay. Extra info in how many questions? Now, why is this important? Think about it. If I give you, let's take an example of something which you're familiar with. Let's say a circular arrangement. Yes. Now, what happens is, if there is extra information in the question, okay, and let's say there is extra information in all the question, that would mean just by solving the puzzle, okay, just by looking at the information which is there at the start, you will not be able to get all the answers. You know what? Every time you have to read, if there are 4 questions, okay, if there are 4 subparts, every time you have to look at these 4 subparts, take the extra information which is there in these 4 subparts and start solving the case, right? So what you are doing, you are taking extra information 4 different times and trying to solve the cases, many a times you might, let's say, get A correct and let's say D correct, but B or C you might not get it correct. Correct? Think about it. But on the contrary, think about a caselet where there is no extra information in the questions. What would that mean? That would mean if you have solved the caselet correctly, there is a puzzle. If you have solved this entire puzzle, okay, let's say it was a Venn diagram, you solve this Venn diagram correctly, there is no extra information in the question. It means moment you are done with this Venn diagram, you will get all the answers correct. Because of which, obviously, it will take less time. This set will take less time compared to a set which has got extra information in every question wherein you have to do one by one. That is more time consuming. So this one definitely got to be attempted first where there is no extra information. That would mean less time. Solve the puzzle, all questions are immediate, you will get your answer. Yes, I hope I'm making myself abundantly clear here. Correct? Fine. That's point number 3. Extra information in how many questions? And point number 4, I would say, look at options. Look at the options. Okay. How much can the options help you? Look at these two words in particular. Cannot be determined. Can't be determined. Okay. Can't be determined or none of these. None of these. You got to be very careful. Okay. I think I'll put it separately. Can't be determined. I think I'll say can't be determined in LR, especially in LR, okay? And none of these in DI. None of these in DI. Now think about it. Think about it. Why are these two options very important? Very, very important. Let's talk about LR first. Moment you see an option can't be determined, you know what? You got to check for multiple possibilities. You got to check for, you know what? Multiple scenarios. Multiple scenarios. Even if you have got your answer, you might have done one scenario. You got to go back to the entire caselet and check again. Are there any other scenario which you have left behind? If yes, you will get all your answers incorrect, right? Because there were multiple answer scenarios, you did not consider them, because of which answers might be cannot be determined, but you choose to mark a wrong answer. So whenever there is a cannot be determined, you need to check for multiple scenarios. Hence, it consumes time. Definitely, it would mean that do not pick up a case at the start which has got, let's say, all the questions have cannot be determined. If one question, one sub question has cannot be determined, it's perfectly fine. But if all the questions have cannot be determined, you might not want to solve this at the very start, because that would mean trying out multiple possibilities. Correct? Yes, what I'm saying is very logical. You just need to think about it. And these are points which you, if you think about it sitting at home for 30 minutes, you just think what should I do and what should I not do, you will come across these points yourself. Point number 5, none of these in DI. Think about it. In a DI, there are often lot of calculations. Okay? Think about it. Now, you know what? Because there are a lot of calculations, many a times, let's say I ask you, in which year did the highest percentage change take place? Okay? And you have the option as year 2015, 2016, 2017, and let's say none of these. Okay? What would that mean? Let's say the data has a total of 9 years. The data has total 9 years of data is given to you. 9 years. Okay? And there is a none of these. Think about it. It would mean it is not enough if you just check the options. You have to check 2015, 16, 17, probably 2014 also, 2013 also, because in any case, if 2014 is the highest, you will mark your answer as none of these. The bottom line is, whenever there is a none of these, you need to do the calculation for all the years. You need to basically look at all the years and then decide which answer is correct. But on the contrary, if there is no none of these, think about it. If there is no none of these, but instead of none of these, there is something like 2018. You know what? The good part is, out of the 9 years, your focus or your calculation is only on these 4 years, because the answer options has only 4 numbers and one of these numbers is your correct answer. So you will do the calculations only for this, meaning it will take less time compared to a question which has got a none of these. And hence, if a lot of questions in the caselet has none of these and it's a DI based caselet, you might not want to attempt it at the very start. I hope I'm making myself abundantly clear how you select this. All these factors should be kept in mind while trying to select your sets in your LRDI section of your mocks. Fine. Let's consider the second part of the discussion. Right? Okay. The first part I talked about how do you select the sets, right? So now you know how to select the sets. Moment you decide how to select the sets, you decide your order. Which set should I solve first, which second, and so on and so on, right? And I also told you that the first 20 minutes are the most important. If you are able to solve two sets in the first 20 minutes, your confidence level is going to be super high, because of which the remaining 30 minutes will be good. The remaining 30-40 minutes will be good. But if the first 20 minutes you get wrong answers, you are not able to solve anything, there is a high chance you have lost the game. Why? Because remember, it's a 20-20 over match. If the first 10-15 overs don't go good, last 5 overs, not a lot of things can happen. So very important that you select the correct sets. Correct? Okay. Next thing. How do you analyze the mocks? I think the most important part of your preparation is not writing the mocks, but analyzing the mocks. Analyzing the mocks. Okay. Analyzing the mocks. Think about it. Let's say I give you an example. Okay. I give you an example. Mock 1. Okay. Mock 1. Generally there is a window, right? There is generally a window for each of the mocks. Let's say mock 1 is from June 20 to June 25. Okay. June 25 as an example. Okay. And then mock 2 is, let's say, June 28 to 30 June, to June 30, to June 30. Okay. This is your mock 2. Now first thing first. Which slot should you take? Which slot? I believe the slot is also very important. The slot is also very important when you book your mocks. Think about it. Let's say there is a person, okay? Let's say there is a person, he has decided to be the first show, first guy, okay? First day, first show. He books the mock on June 20. On June 20. Now what will happen? June 20, he writes the mocks and he's done. Okay? The mock results of the mock, okay, will be available only after the window period is over. Only after the window period is over. So let's say if the window period was till June 25, you know what? Probably the results will be available on June 26. The results and the solution will be available on June 26. Now think about it. If a person wrote the exam on June 20, okay, and June 26, when he actually comes and analyze the mocks, think about it. Let's say verbal. The best example would be a verbal section, okay. You know what? In comprehension, there was a comprehension question wherein there were 4 options, A, B, C, and D. But you decided to mark option B, okay, on the day of your mock. On the day of your mock. On June 26, you realize that the correct answer, what is the correct answer? Correct answer is option D, and B was the wrong answer. The problem here would be you don't even understand, you don't even remember why 5 days before you marked option B. You probably, unless you are a superhuman being or unless you actually remember a lot of things, you would not even be able to recall why at that point of time you marked option B. You will forget. Same holds true for a lot of, especially for verbal. You will not even remember why 5 days before you marked option B, or probably what was the comprehension all about. Right? What was the comprehension all about? On the contrary, if a person writes the mock on the last day, okay, and let's say he too marks option B, he too has marked option B, but you know what? The correct answer was D. Immediately next day, when he gets the solution and he reads that this solution is incorrect, B is an incorrect solution, he immediately recalls and realizes why did he mark B? Why did he mark B? And what went wrong? What went wrong? You remember the comprehension. You remember why you marked option B, and moment you look at the correct answer, you immediately can recall why you went wrong, right? So the retention is very high. So my advice generally to students is try to attend the mock if possible on the last day or on the second last day, especially if the window is very large. Do not take it on the first day, because by the time the results come out, you tend to forget what did you actually give. You don't even remember the questions. Because you don't even remember the questions, analyzing a mock becomes very difficult. Because analyzing the mock is all about understanding what went good and what went bad. But if you don't even remember the questions, you don't even remember what happened on the day of the exam, there is no way you can put your best in analyzing the mocks. So definitely try to Attempt the mocks probably on the last day or on the second last day, okay? And do not speak to your friends, obviously, what were the questions. That would defeat the very purpose of a mock. Someone might have given the mock before. He will tell you, you know what, the mocks are very difficult this time. You don't listen to him because you want to go with a surprise element in mind. You need to see how do you react when there are surprises thrown at you, because on the day of your CAT, a lot of surprises will be thrown, right? So remember the first point, try to attempt the mock in a later window. Fine, that's point number one. Point number two, that's point number one, what we discussed. Now, point number two would be, think about it, and this is where 95% of the students, ignore sadly, and that is why they never score good. To check what went wrong and what went correct, you are directly coming and attempting mock 2. Absolutely does not serve any purpose. No purpose of mock 2. I would say it's as good as not writing the mock. There is no point writing mock 2 unless this break, you utilize this break and analyze mock 1. Very, very, very important. Please do not go, okay, and write the next mock unless and until you have analyzed mock 1. And trust me, 95% of the students, even if after looking at this video, will not follow this. Why? Because we all have other busy things in life. You are busy with something, I am busy with something, we have offices, we have colleges, we have girlfriends, we have boyfriends, we have family, so many priorities in life that this analysis is lost. No point, don't write mock 2. Don't write mock 2, probably you go and attempt mock 3. Why? Because if you don't learn from your mistakes, okay, and straight away go to the second match, you do this for 5 mocks, end of the 5 mocks, you come back and call me. I'll get a lot of call from students telling me, sir, I am scoring very poorly in mocks, I don't think I'll be able to crack the CAT. This will happen with you also if you make this mistake. Do not attempt mock 2 unless and until you have analyzed mock 1. Unless and until you have analyzed mock 1. And analysis is not about just looking at the answers. That's not analysis. Analysis is what was the cutoff for the mock. Did I clear the cutoffs? Okay. And it's not only about clearing the cutoffs. Many a times, most of the good mock papers, right? Most of the good mocks, okay, what will happen is they will tell you which were the easy questions and which were the difficult questions. Think about it. Many a times, let's say in LRDI, they will tell you set number 1, set 1 and set 5 were easy. Set 5 and set, you know what? These two sets were easy. In the analysis, it would be written there, okay? And set number 8, let's say as an example, was difficult. As an example, was difficult. Now think about it. Now, when you are analyzing the mocks, you realize that you actually attempted set number 8. You actually attempted set number 8, but you did not attempt, let's say, set number 1. Set 5 and 8 you attempted, but you did not attempt set number 1. Should you feel happy or should you feel disappointed? Depends. You got a difficult set correct. Very good. But how much time did you take to solve this? How much time? If you had taken 20 minutes to solve this difficult set, you got all correct undoubtedly, but you took 20 minutes. On the contrary, had you picked up set 1, you would have taken 10 minutes and have solved this and would have solved it correctly. Then you are at a loss. Then you are at a loss, and probably you need to realize that your selection of sets is not correct and you got to improve on it, got to work on it, right? So please make sure analyzing the mocks is not about looking at the solutions. It's about looking at which were the easy questions and are there questions which are marked as easy but I find it difficult. I find it difficult. That would mean you going back to the basics. As an example, cubes. Probably you are not very clear about cubes. Even when the mock analysis says the cube question was easy, you are finding it tough. You are finding it that I can't solve it, you don't understand it. It's time to go back to the classes. It's time to go back to your notes and look at those cube basics again, so that if someone else or the expert on the paper believes it is easy but you don't agree to it, it is just because your concepts are not clear. Go back, revise the basics, come again and solve this case then. Okay. Now, before you actually look at the solution, okay, now you first look at easy and difficult things. Now, don't look at the solution. If whatever it is, let's say if something is easy, forget about the difficult ones. But if something is marked as easy or moderate, do not look at the solution first. Sit down, open the paper again, and you start solving the caselet again. Start solving the caselet. This time, without a timer. After the mock has got over, start solving the caselet again all by yourself. At least one case there, you give 15 minutes. Minimum 15 minutes, you try. 15 minutes, you try. Minimum. If you don't get it for 15 minutes, it's fine. Then you go back and look at the solution. But at least minimum 15 minutes, you try. It's not only the questions which you did not solve. Some questions you got it wrong. Please resolve them. Please resolve them. Many a times you will see that when resolving the same question, you got it wrong in the mock, but while resolving it, you are getting it correct. That means time. The problem is with time. Whenever there is a timer in front of you, you fall under pressure and you get things wrong, right? So that is probably the next point, and I will talk about it, how to improve your time management probably in a later period of the video, right? In another video. But at this point of time, please try to resolve it and solve case lists which you did not solve, so that first you try and then you look at the mock papers and then you look at the mock solutions, right? That would make sure that you are thoroughly confident about the paper, thoroughly confident. Anything which is very difficult, you might want to read it, you might want to try it, but after trying also you feel that this, even if I try, even if I understand, it might take 25 minutes, 30 minutes to solve. It's okay, you might want to leave it, rather than get frustrated, but at least the easy and the moderate sets in every LRDI paper has to be solved before you go to your next mock. Because it is only then improvements will happen. Right? Improvements don't happen overnight. They happen with a lot of effort. There is no shortcut to it. There is definitely no shortcut to it. Yes, I hope I am making things clear and you agree to what I am saying, right? Okay. The next point is so people are asking, some students of mine are asking which mocks to take. Remember, this is a live thing. So you might want to ping me on Telegram and we can talk about which mocks to. You can ping me in the Telegram group. We have a Telegram group, and most of you are my students. You can ping me in the Telegram group and I will tell you which mocks you can, which exams or mocks you can consider. Okay, fine. So I think that's it. And next, what is important is looking at your percentile. Right? Never look at the absolute marks. Marks don't make any sense. Okay. Do not look at marks in the mocks. Do not look at marks. Okay. In the mocks, they make absolutely no sense. What is rather important is you will not look at your marks, you are going to look at your percentile. You are looking at your percentile. Remember, percentile is what is important. You might not be a 90 percentile on the first day, but if you are at 60 percentile on day 1, 60, next mock probably 62, next probably 70, this is called an improvement. This is what you try to achieve, rather than 90 in the first mock, 95 in the second mock, and then 50 in the third mock. That's not what you want. You are looking at a constant improvement. You might start from a 60, you might start from 50, doesn't matter, but is there an improvement happening with every mock? That's what you got to see, right, at the end of your mocks when you analyze your mocks. This is very important because it helps you know how much more you need to study. Let's say you are at 30 percentile. Think about it. To be very honest, if you are at 30 percentile, it's not that you will not crack the CAT. You can definitely crack the CAT. And I have seen students going from 20 percentile in June to 99 percentile in November in the actual CAT paper. But that means he or she will have to put effort. If someone is at 95 percentile already, you are at 95 already, okay? Your friend is at 95. If he puts in 2 hours and you are at the 30 percentile, you probably have to put in 8 hours. Are you ready for this? This is a harsh reality check. And for you, you don't have to tell your percentile to anyone, but this is a harsh reality check. Where do you stand? If someone is 95, probably 2 hours every day will suffice. But 30 percentile would only mean 8 hours per day. Around, I'm just giving you an example, 7 to 8 hours per day. That effort estimation you will also get to know once you give your mocks. And the next thing is, remember, mocks are just a means to learn. It doesn't matter how much you score. At the end of the day, these are all practice matches. What is important is not the practice matches, but the final match, right? No one will ask you what is your score in the practice match. All of us are bothered and will ask you only one thing. What is your score in the CAT? Right? So don't bother much about the mocks. Do not lose heart, right? A lot of people, I will see lot of students, I think out of every 3 students, 1 student at least will give up after writing 5-6 mocks. You should not be that one. You should not be that one, right? So please keep practicing, and remember, hard work always pays off. Hard work will always pay off, and we will do a lot of mock questions in our classes. I'm going to help you in all possible ways, so don't worry about that. But at least let's get started. Let's get started with your mocks. And also remember, if you are scoring low on your first mock, remember you have not completed your syllabus. So when you complete your syllabus, your scores will also go up accordingly. So initial days, your score could be low because you have not completed a major portion of your syllabus. So there are a lot of reasons why initially you might not do well. But all that is required is a steady approach, is a dedicated approach, the consistency and the patience that you need to have. Correct? Fine. Okay, so let's talk about a bit more about what we offer. Okay, what I offer on Unacademy. So basically LRDI. We do a lot of questions on Unacademy every morning. So on Unacademy Plus every morning. Okay, Unacademy Plus every morning, Monday to Friday, 7:45 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. 7:45 to 8:45 a.m. daily basis. We do LRDI cases live, and these are all live classes. We are all live classes, okay, daily, and this will continue till your CAT. Lot of students are attending, and if you are missing it, you are missing something very unique, and you are missing something very good, and you are missing something which you ought to attend to maximize your score in the CAT paper, LRDI, right? In addition to the live classes, I give you a lot of practice materials. Remember, 1 hour of live classes daily. Along with it, a lot of practice material is what I will give you on Unacademy Plus. How many practice materials? 200 plus hours of practice materials with video solutions is what I will provide to you, right? So let's say if someone wants to start from the very basics, what he will do? He will start with LR sequence 1, and he will start with my foundation videos, foundation practice videos, right? 16 hours of foundation practice video just to clarify the foundations of LRDI. Moment your foundations are in place, you will go to LR sequence 2, wherein I teach you the concepts of LR, right? Concepts of LR, 14 hours. Once the foundation and the concepts are in place, probably you want to apply them, right? Once you need to apply them, come to LR sequence 3, go to my course, practice course, 13 hours. In this way, the material is designed in such a way that it is easy at the very start, in fact, easiest at the very start, and as we move towards later stages, it gets difficult. Same holds true for DI. Same holds true for DI, and this is in addition to the live classes, daily live classes. So a lot of practice materials, 200 hours of practice materials, but all of this can be accessed only and only if you join Unacademy Plus. And if you are joining Unacademy Plus, remember you got to join using this code Parikshit Live, which is there on your screen. Why? There are 3 benefits. Benefit number 1, you get 10% discount if you join using the code Parikshit Live. Second benefit, if you join using the code Parikshit Live, right? And now remember, we are just 6 months away from the CAT. You take a 6-month subscription, and we in Unacademy are going to extend your subscription by a month. So what will happen? Even after your CAT is over, right? We will give you free extension for the CMAT, for the NMAT, for the ZAT, for the SNAP, for the IIFT, all other classes and all other specific classes, right? Preparation for the remaining non-CAT examinations, you will get free access. So just join us for 6 months using the code Parikshit Live, and we are going to extend your subscription by a month for the non-CAT exams. And third benefit, if you join using the code Parikshit Live, you get free mentorship. I repeat, this is the only and only code available where you will get free mentorship from my side. And mentorship is all about sorry, going beyond the class hours. Remember, in a class, I will clarify everyone's doubt. But beyond the class hours, if you have any doubts regarding mock strategies, regarding question solving, could be anything. And if you have joined using the code Parikshit Live, you will get free mentorship as well. Students often ask me, if I join using your code Parikshit Live, does it mean I get access to only your lectures? No. Remember, you are not subscribing to me. You are subscribing to Unacademy. And because you are subscribing to Unacademy, even if when you're using this code Parikshit Live, even when using the code Parikshit Live, you will get access to all lectures on Unacademy from all educators, be it verbal, quants, or LRDI. Fine. I think that's it for today. If any one of you is a BBA or a hotel management aspirant, there are a lot of plans for you as well, and you can get a lot of discounts while joining Unacademy for this courses using my code Parikshit Live. And yes, do enroll for the weekly scholarship test that will help you know where you stand in the competition tree. That's it. I think that's it for today. I hope you got something new. I hope you got to learn things new. And as you start your mocks, I wish you the very best. And I'm sure you will do well. Just that patience is the key. And the key is that you trust yourself, you believe in yourself that you can do it, right? Yes, we can. That's what matters at the end of the day. Okay, thank you so much and stay safe. I'll see you in my next session.